My husband didn't just leave me for a younger woman. He married her, and then I discovered she was sleeping with our son. Before we go any further, I need to know I'm not alone in this. Where are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments below. I'm going to tell you everything. Not because I want to, because I have to, because keeping it inside was killing me, and maybe someone out there needs to know they can survive what feels unsurvivable. My name is Catherine. I'm 52 years old. For 26 years, I believed I had built something solid. A marriage, a family, a life that made sense. I met David when I was 24. He was 27, working in finance, charming in that quiet, confident way that made you feel like the only person in the room. He proposed at a bed and breakfast in Vermont, down on one knee in front of the fireplace, his hands shaking. I said yes before he finished asking. We married that same year. Small ceremony. I wore my mother's veil. David cried when I walked down the aisle. I remember thinking, this is it. This is the man I'll grow old with. 3 years later, we had Ethan. Perfect. 10 fingers, 10 toes, my nose, David's eyes. When they placed him in my arms, David kissed my forehead and whispered, "You gave me everything." For years, that's what it felt like. Everything. David worked long hours but always came home. Always kissed me at the door. We had dinner together most nights, went to Ethan's soccer games, school plays, parent-teacher conferences. We took vacations, beach trips, ski weekends, that camping trip where it rained 4 days straight and we laughed until we cried. I thought we were happy. Looking back, I can see the cracks. I just didn't want to. David started coming home later. Not every night. Just enough that I noticed. He said it was a new project at work, something big. I believed him because believing was easier than asking questions I wasn't ready to hear. He stopped kissing me when he came home. Small thing. So small. But one night I stood at the stove stirring pasta sauce, heard the door open and close, and waited. For his lips on my temple, his hand on my waist. Nothing. He walked straight past me to the fridge, grabbed a beer, went upstairs. I stood there, wooden spoon in hand, staring at nothing. That was the first time I felt it. That cold, creeping feeling in your gut that tells you something is wrong, even when you don't have proof. He was on his phone more, always angled away. He'd smile at the screen, this little private smile I didn't recognize. When I asked who he was texting, he'd say, "Just work," and I'd nod and pretend I didn't notice how fast he locked the screen. Our conversations got thinner. We stopped having sex, not all at once, gradually, until one day I realized it had been 2 months, and neither of us had tried. Late at night, lying next to him in the dark, I felt more alone than I'd ever felt in my life. I should have said something, demanded answers, but I was scared of blowing up the life I'd spent 26 years building. So I stayed quiet. One Tuesday evening in March, David came home at his normal time. Ethan was away at college. David asked me to sit down. His voice was calm, too calm. "Catherine, I need to talk to you." I knew. Before he said it, I knew. "I want a divorce." 4 words, 26 years gone. I couldn't breathe. I stared at him and I didn't recognize him. "Why?" He looked away. "I'm not happy anymore." "Not we're not happy, just I'm not happy." "Is there someone else?" The pause told me everything. "Yes. If you believe betrayal like this has no excuse, tap the like button." Her name was Bridget, 31 years old, 21 years younger than me. She worked at his company. They'd been together 8 months. 8 months, while I made his coffee every morning, did his laundry, asked about his day, believed his lies. He'd been building another life. "I didn't mean for it to happen," he said. I wanted to scream, to throw something. I just sat there frozen while he explained how they'd connected, how she understood him, how he felt alive again. I asked if he'd brought her to our bed. No, never here. But you'd lie to me for 8 months. Silence. I asked if he loved her. I think so. That hurt more than anything. The uncertainty. He was throwing away our marriage for something he wasn't even sure about. He moved out that week, packed while I was at work because it would be easier. Easier for who? I called Ethan. He was quiet, then said, "I'm sorry, Mom." "It's not your fault, baby." "I know, but I'm still sorry." The divorce took 6 months. His lawyer was ruthless. They claimed I'd been emotionally distant, neglectful. I sat in those conference rooms listening to them rewrite history, and I didn't defend myself. What was the point? We split everything. I got the house. He got his freedom. Free to marry her. They married 4 months after our divorce was finalized. I found out on Facebook a friend sent me the screenshot. I wasn't okay. But I pretended I was. I threw myself into work, started therapy, yoga, meditation, all the things you're supposed to do when your life implodes. I told myself I was healing. Slowly, I was. Ethan came home for Thanksgiving, 22 now, almost done with college. He seemed good. We didn't talk much about David. I could tell it made him uncomfortable, so I didn't push. What I didn't know was that he'd met Bridget. David had introduced them over the summer. Casual. She was his wife now, part of the family. Part of the family. I didn't find out until February. Almost a year after the divorce, Ethan had graduated, moved back to the area for a job. I saw him once a week for dinner. He seemed different, distracted, guilty. Then one night my phone rang at 2 a.m. David. His voice was shaking. "Catherine, I need to talk to you." "What happened? Is Ethan okay?" "Ethan's fine. It's about Bridget." He'd found messages on her phone, messages to our son, intimate messages. Pause for a moment. What would you do in my place? Comment below. I didn't understand. My brain wouldn't process it. David kept talking, voice breaking, saying he'd confronted her. She'd admitted it. Months. How long? 4 months? Maybe 5. I hung up. I sat on the edge of my bed in the dark, trying to make sense of it. My ex-husband's wife, the woman he'd left me for, was sleeping with our son. The boy I'd carried, nursed, raised. I couldn't breathe. I called Ethan. No answer. I called again. Again. 5th try he picked up. "Mom, is it true?" Silence. "Ethan, is it true? I'm sorry." Something inside me shattered. "How could you?" "I don't know. I didn't mean..." "That's what your father said." "Mom, please." "Did you think about me? Even once?" "Every day." "But you did it anyway." He was crying. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." I hung up. I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark trying to understand where I'd gone wrong, what I'd done to deserve this, how the 2 men I'd loved most could betray me so completely. But there were no answers. David called the next day, wanted to meet, to explain. I met him at a coffee shop. He looked terrible. "Good. She initiated it," he said before I sat down. She went after him. He's 22. He could have said no. "I know, but she was manipulating..." "Stop." He stopped. I sat down. "I don't care who started it. I need to know why you're telling me. Because you're his mother. I'm aware. We need to figure out how to handle this. As a family." I laughed. Harsh. Bitter. "We're not a family, David. We haven't been since you decided to fuck someone young enough to be your daughter and marry her while the divorce papers were still warm." He flinched. "And now she's been sleeping with our son. And you want to talk about family?" "Catherine, Did you know? When you introduced them. Did some part of you know? Of course not. But you saw something. He looked away. I thought they were just getting along. She said it was nice to have someone close to her age. Close to her age? She's 31. He's 22. Your wife is 9 years older than your son. His disgust was almost satisfying. Almost. I'm divorcing her, he said. Good for you. Have you talked to Ethan? Briefly. And what? You want me to say I forgive him? No, I just need to know where you are. I looked at this stranger with my ex-husband's face and felt nothing. I don't know where I am, David. I don't know if I'll ever speak to our son again. I don't know if I can look at him without seeing this, without seeing both of you and every way you've destroyed me. Catherine, I'm done protecting everyone's feelings but my own. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. I walked out, went home, sat in the house I'd won and cried. For the girl who said yes in Vermont. For the woman who believed in forever. For every dinner and every sacrifice for a family that didn't exist anymore. Then I stopped crying. Because grief can only take you so far. Eventually you decide who you're going to be on the other side. Ethan tried to reach me. Texts, calls, emails. He showed up once. I didn't answer the door. David's divorce from Bridget was quick. She didn't fight. I heard she moved back to California. I hoped she was miserable. Months passed. I started painting again, joined a book club, made friends who didn't know my history, who just knew Catherine, the woman with the wry humour and good wine recommendations. I was building something new, something mine. Then one day, nearly a year later, Ethan showed up again. I almost didn't answer, but I did. He looked older, tired, thinner. Mum, please. 5 minutes. I let him in. We sat in the living room and he told me everything. How Bridget started texting about his dad, playing concerned stepmother, how it escalated, compliments, inside jokes, late-night conversations, how she made him feel seen. I was lonely, angry at Dad. She was there. She made it seem okay. It wasn't okay. I know that now. Do you? I looked at him. You need to understand what you did, not just to your father, to me. I do. I don't think you do. You didn't just betray your father. You betrayed me. You saw what he did to me, and you did the same thing. It was worse, Ethan. So much worse, he cried. I didn't comfort him. I loved you more than anything, I said. I would have died for you. And you looked at the woman who destroyed our family and decided she was worth it. I'm sorry. I know. But I need you to understand something. He looked up. I forgive you, because you're my son. I'll always love you. But I don't trust you anymore, and I don't know if I ever will again. If stories like this remind you you're not alone, subscribe for more. That was 2 years ago. Ethan and I talk now. Not often. Birthdays, holidays, surface level. He's in therapy, working on himself. But things are different. They'll always be different. He's not the little boy I raised. And I'm not the woman who would sacrifice everything without question. I have boundaries now. Hard ones. I don't let people walk over me. I don't make myself small. I don't apologize for existing. David reached out last year, asked if we could rebuild some kind of friendship for Ethan's sake. I said no. I don't owe him anything. Some betrayals are too deep. Some wounds don't heal. And that's okay. People ask if I'm bitter, angry, if I hate them. I don't. I'm just free. I was lonely, angry at Dad. She was there. She made it seem okay. It wasn't okay. I know that now. Do you? I looked at him. You need to understand what you did, not just to your father, to me. I do. I don't think you do. You didn't just betray your father. You betrayed me. You saw what he did to me, and you did the same thing. It was worse, Ethan. So much worse, he cried. I didn't comfort him. I loved you more than anything, I said. I would have died for you. And you looked at the woman who destroyed our family and decided she was worth it. I'm sorry. I know. But I need you to understand something. He looked up. I forgive you, because you're my son. I'll always love you. But I don't trust you anymore, and I don't know if I ever will again. If stories like this remind you you're not alone, subscribe for more. That was 2 years ago. Ethan and I talk now. Not often. Birthdays, holidays, surface level. He's in therapy, working on himself. But things are different. They'll always be different. He's not the little boy I raised. And I'm not the woman who would sacrifice everything without question. I have boundaries now. Hard ones. I don't let people walk over me. I don't make myself small. I don't apologize for existing. David reached out last year, asked if we could rebuild some kind of friendship for Ethan's sake. I said no. I don't owe him anything. Some betrayals are too deep. Some wounds don't heal. And that's okay. People ask if I'm bitter, angry, if I hate them. I don't. I'm just free. Free from being the person everyone leaned on. Free from the expectation that I would always forgive, always put everyone else first. I'm free to be the woman I should have been all along, the one who knows her worth, who doesn't settle, who walks away when something doesn't serve her. Yeah, I'm alone now. My marriage is over. My relationship with my son is fractured. My family doesn't exist. But I'm not lonely, because I have something I didn't have before, myself. And that's enough. This story doesn't have a happy ending. Not the way you want. There's no reconciliation. No moment where everyone hugs and promises to do better. Life isn't a movie. But I survived. When I thought I couldn't. When I wanted to give up. When every part of me screamed that I'd lost everything. I survived. And if you're watching from a place of pain, where you feel like you can't go on, you will survive too. Not because you're strong. Not because you have to be. Because you're still here. Still breathing, still fighting. And that's enough. Do you think forgiveness was deserved? Or were boundaries crossed forever? Comment your thoughts. I want to hear from you. I want to know I'm not alone, that you're out there listening, understanding, because at the end of the day, that's all any of us wants. To be seen, to be heard, to know our pain matters. Thank you for watching until the end. You're not alone, and neither am I.